So, I've always been a bit of a guitar gear nerd, and throughout my childhood, probably more often than not when Christmas came around, there'd be some random guitar pedal at the top of my wish list. So it probably doesn't come as a massive surprise to find out that I've amassed a pretty substantial collection over the last 10 years or so. Naturally, lots of guitar pedals means a big pedal board, and for years I've been dragging this massive thing around to gigs, to rehearsals, to open mics, and to be honest, I'm just fed up with it. On a side note, is it just me, or are the handles on these things and guitar cases and amps just so unnecessarily uncomfortable? They cut off the circulation in your fingers so quick it's a wonder that you can even play by the time you get to the gig. But anyway, yeah, I'm a little bit tired of that. So I'm going to be stripping down my pedal board to its bare essentials and replacing this with this. So it's time I have a good think about what is completely essential and what I can do without. In fact, let me know what you'd be choosing down in the comments below. I'd be really interested to know. It's important to factor in that not only do I need this board for my electric guitar, I also really need it for acoustic gigs. A bit of a tall order, but I'm reasonably happy with the plan I've got in my head. So without further ado, a drum roll please. So, the first pedal to make the cut is the Strymon Timeline. As you can see, this pedal does take a fairly hefty amount of pedalboard real estate, but for me, it's an absolute must. The Timeline was introduced all the way back in 2015, but still holds its place as one of the best delay pedals on the market, alongside the likes of Boss DD500 and the Universal Audio Starlight. I think possibly my favourite thing about this pedal, alongside the absolutely amazing delay sounds, is the interface. It's as simple and as complicated as you want it to be, if that makes any sense. On face value, you've got your different types of delay, and then your various parameters that you can fiddle with. Fairly straightforward, and for lots of people, that's probably all they need. But these two toggled knobs allow you to go so much further and deep dive into the menus to get a really truly unique delay sound. This pedal does an amazing job anywhere from something really subtle like a slapback delay to your really intense ambient stuff. Check it out. Just a quick message to any of my viewers that are more into the kind of bluesy rocky stuff. If you stick through the ambience, I promise you the third and the fourth pedal will be right up your street. But anyway, on with the video. Really awesome stuff. By the way, I'll leave all the links to the pedals that I'm using in the description below so that you can check those out if you want to. Alright, so the next part is a little bit flexible, and I do imagine changing this pedal around a little bit just between the more acoustic orientated gigs and the more electric orientated gigs. But for now, let's talk about the acoustic orientated gigs. And to be fair, I will use this on electric gigs as well from time to time. But for now, we've got the perfect complement to delay, and that is reverb in the form of the Stymon Bluesky. Now, I think I need reverb on my board for a few reasons. Firstly, I've played a few gigs where I couldn't use my own amp on stage, and playing without a reverb, or a reverb that you can't control, can make the difference between a guitar sounding great and a guitar sounding absolutely terrible. Secondly, this pedal offers a lot more than the spring reverb that you'll find on most amplifiers. It's got 3 different types: spring, room and plate, with the additional modulation and shimmer mode. All 3 of the reverbs sound absolutely amazing, and the modulation in the shimmer mode just adds such a magical touch to the more ambient-y reverb stuff. Alright, so any blues or rock guitar players out there, don't worry, that's the end of all the ambience, and now we're really moving into that kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, bluesy rock kind of territory. Now, I do think the pedal that I'm going to be replacing this reverb with for the more electric gigs might seem like a little bit of a curveball, but for any of you that have been watching me for a while, and thank you by the way, you've probably realised that I'm a pretty massive Jimi Hendrix fan. And I think most Hendrix fans would agree that you really can't go wrong with a good Univibe pedal. So for the more electric gigs, I'm replacing the Bluesky with the Fulltone Deja vibe. And I mean, what can I say other than the fact that it's just an absolutely amazing Univibe? You can change the speed of the modulation with this massive knob, which is great because it's quite easy to do with your feet whilst you're playing, which is always useful live. And then you've got the volume and intensity, and then these 2 switches here. Modern has a slightly larger frequency range than vintage, so the effects of the pedal are a little bit more pronounced. And then the vibrato is a straight modulation of the signal, and then the chorus adds all of that phasiness that, in my opinion, creates that really iconic Univibe sound. Interestingly, despite the name, it's not actually a chorus at all. A traditional chorus pedal has the original signal and a secondary signal in phase with each other, with one of them modulating. The Univibe chorus is a vibrato signal with a phaser running along the top of it. Now, Univibe pedals sound great on their own, but in my opinion at least, there's only one way to get them to sound absolutely amazing, and that is with a little bit of distortion. So it should come as no surprise that the next pedal on the list is a distortion pedal in the form of the Keeley Electronics Oxeblood. This is actually my favourite overdrive pedal I've ever had the pleasure of trying out. It's essentially a clone, but in my opinion it's so much more than that. And I mean, yeah, you can get those amazing clones on this pedal, but you can also get really fuzzy tones, and you can even really dial back the distortion and get almost like a really nice clean boost. Wow, I really hope the microphones can do this pedal justice because it sounds absolutely awesome in the room. I've actually got an entire review of this pedal, so I'll drop that in the description below, so if you fancy hearing some more tones and a little bit more about the pedal, you can check that out. But anyway, on to the last pedal, and to be honest, it's a little bit of a boring choice, but I really do think it's a necessity, and that is the good old Polytune tuner pedal. Now, I can honestly say I've had this on my board for probably 7 or 8 years now, and it's always just done a really solid job. I mean, most tuner pedals pretty much do the same thing, but one thing I do really like about the Polytuner is that you can actually play all 6 strings, and the pedal will tell you which of those 6 strings are in and out of tune. And I know that sounds a little bit gimmicky and not that useful, but if you're on a stage and you've got a drummer and a bassist blaring in your ears, it's actually really hard to work out what's in tune and what's not, and just being able to strum all your 6 strings and instantly identify the problem is a really quick and easy way to fix that issue, and I mean, it's certainly saved me a few times in the past. So yeah, those are the pedals I've chosen. I think it's a pretty versatile board for such a small board. But as I said, I'd be really interested to hear what you'd go for in the comments. Would you kind of streamline it to one specific type of playing, or would you try and do what I've done and kind of create a more broad thing that can cater to all your needs? But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. And yeah, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.